She's sitting. She's sitting. Oh.
Marty, say hi. Marty, say hi to the camera. Hello. No? Oh no, she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to be here.
Hey, say hello.
Marty. Everybody, say hi to Martinique the dog. Marty, can you say hi? Say hello to the camera. I don't think she enjoys being up here. Oh. This is Martinique the dog. She had her first tea punch at the age of 6 months. Thanks, Eric Trickett. She's going to be one of our special guests today, but I think she probably needs... Oh, she's ready. She wants to stay now. Perfect. Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our first virtual Tea Punch happy hour for Tea Punch Tuesday. Welcome to 2020, or welcome to hell, I guess you could say. We've all been real bad and are being sent to our rooms for not paying attention to directions. So this is the world we live in. We all need to think about what we have done, and we all have a long time to do about it. So while we are in our virtual worlds, spending a lot of time with our pets who are more happy than they've ever been, I thought it was a good time to maybe have a little Tuesday check-in with everybody and see what they're doing, and maybe talk about some things that aren't super depressing. Although today we might talk about some things that are informative, though a little heavy. So yeah, I'm Kiwa. It doesn't really matter what I do as a job in life. You probably know that I love rum. Rum is my life. I live in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is very weird right now because while we have been on shelter in place for 9 days now. Oh, you gonna lay down? Okay, perfect, great. Marty is now going to join us for the duration, I guess. She's really happy just parking out on the top of the bar. We're in day 9 of shelter in place in Los Angeles, although it's been raining for 2 weeks, so basically we're on day 14 because nobody leaves their houses in Los Angeles. The sun finally came out today. It's peeped through the clouds a little bit in the last few weeks, but there really hasn't been an opportunity to look at this little attention whore. She's trying to steal all of the camera from me. I guess I trained her well. But today we're going to talk a little bit about some things that are happening in our world. I really just wanted to have an avenue to talk with you all. We're not going to really do a lot of talking about Tea Punch in general, although I know that's something I love to talk about more than anything in the world. I'm really bad at Tea Punch today because the grocery store is a disaster and we're actually out of limes, and I would rather eat glass than go back there after that 2.5 hour experience of waiting in line last week, in which it was worse than any LA nightclub I've ever been to. They were holding the door. There was a line outside. It was a pretty horrific experience. So that was on Friday. We are out of limes already. Hoping that we won't have to go back for a solid week. But I will say that Rum for the Hills has joined. We are going to have a special guest today, one of my coworkers. I'm gonna patch him through in a minute. We're gonna try and see if we can figure out how this dual Instagram situation works. I do marketing for our company, and I am in charge of a lot of social media components, but fuck if I know what Zoom is, and I never heard of it before 72 hours ago. So I hope somebody bought stock in that. I hope somebody had money left to buy stock in that, because it seems to be the new thing, and I just figured out how to turn it on today and downloaded it. And I mean, there are a plethora of apps that I realize that I am just way older than I thought I was, and I didn't, I was in denial until this week. So I'm sure some of you are all there with me. Maybe some of you young kids can help me figure out how to use technology these days, because it turns out I'm older than I thought. I thought it would be a good idea to do this once a week. I needed a reason to put on makeup. It's been a week and a half since I put on makeup. I had a really hard time picking out a very simple outfit today because I am not in practice anymore. I don't know how to pick out clothes anymore, it turns out. And had a battle with my curling iron. I guess I don't know how to use it anymore. I have lost a lot in a week and a half. So without further ado, I was going to have a couple guests on the show today. We were going to talk about some, actually, I see Chase is tuning in. Maybe we can do this sometime. I was actually going to see if you wanted to do this in the future. My sister was going to tune in. She's a PA in Colorado. She was going to get on here and talk live, but they actually silenced her yesterday and sent out a notice saying that she couldn't really do anything on social media or give any media interviews. So I wanted to talk about some of the conversations we've had and how hard it's been for her emotionally and physically, going to the hospital every day with fitted masks and goggles, and, her face is all tore up, and the hours are super long, and she let me in on the fact that there's just not enough tests. We all know that. We're going to talk about that in a bit with my guest. And they basically have stopped testing in Colorado, and, she basically at some point, like, they're going to have to start playing God, and it's not fair. And, I don't want to be Debbie Downer, trying to bring some tea punch and light to this terrible, weird dream that we all seem to be stuck in and can't wake up from. But yeah, today we're going to talk about some experiences that my coworker and one of my dear friends has gone through with this coronavirus. So I'm going to try and figure out if I can add him. Go live with. Take this. It's echoing. Hey,
Kira. How's it going?
We figured it out.
Perfect.
We are not ancient enough to not be able to figure it out. It turns out maybe we still have some life in us. Yeah.
I logged into AOL first. I thought that was good enough.
Are you sure it wasn't Hotmail?
I still have it.
Perfect. Doesn't surprise me. Marty, I see Marty, your other mom is tuned in. I can see her comments. So everybody, this is Nick Tango. Tango, hi honey. I know, I love you too. Nick Tango is our Mid-Atlantic manager for Spiribam. He is the most effervescent, like, genuine human that I've ever met in my life. It's a joy to talk to him every single moment and be in his presence every single moment. He's just so enthusiastic about life and has the best heart of anyone I've ever known. And fun fact, I'll let you tell your most fun fact and treasured secret at the end if you want to. But without stealing your thunder, I would love to just kind of ask you, what happened at the beginning of March, and what that 2-3 week journey has been, and I might pepper in some questions and interrupt you throughout.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, I started off the beginning of the month as like everybody else did. I think we were all making jokes and memes about, the coronavirus, like, right. And it was
something that couldn't touch us, really.
I think we had, yeah, literally, I think us as industry workers, we put ourselves in harm's way so many different times between the people that we meet, it's just, it's so easy for us to catch something, and I think the majority of us always end up being sick free. So I think we just kind of took this as a wave that was going to pass, and just business as usual. So in the beginning of March, I decided to take a couple trips into Manhattan to get some work done, and I noticed a couple days after I was at an event. It would have been
Marty's out, I guess.
It would have been it would have been March 4th. Um, I started coming down with like a fever.
Yeah.
I just wasn't really feeling that great. So I decided at that point to just kind of just take it easy. I just figured I just had a long weekend going into a week with being in the city, and I was just beat up, and I just pushed myself a
Right.
little too hard.
And
So I decided just to,
and this was still the time that we were all making jokes and not taking this seriously. It was like a couple cases in Washington, and nobody really knew it was here yet, right?
yeah, absolutely. Like there wasn't any level of hysteria. It was just like, oh man, are we gonna catch that corona? Who's gonna get the corona? Like it was just a joking matter.
Right.
So I ended up with a fever that Wednesday, the first week of March, and that went into like Wednesday and Thursday. So when I woke up Friday, I just kind of felt like beat up. Like maybe I was just nursing a fever for 2 days. My temperature was at like 103.5. So I was cooking for a good 2 days. So I just figured I just kind of dehydrated myself. I was still a little run down, but hey, you know what? Like I still got to work. So I just kind of slugged a couple Gatorades, took an Advil, and hopped in the car, and I went about my day as usual.
Right.
I got home that evening, and I just kind of started feeling a little beat up. Like I just felt like however I felt on Thursday was starting to come back to me again. So yeah, I just said to myself, I have health insurance.
Right.
Might as well use it. I'm 32. I only go to a doctor when I feel like I'm about to die. I didn't feel like I was about to die, but I just felt like there was something that I just needed to get corrected. It's March, it's our busy season. Like I can't spend March being down. So Saturday, I decided to go to our local urgent care. And when I went to the urgent care, I spoke with them, and they had COVID.
Sorry, somebody's asking questions. This was, now we're talking what, like the 6th or 7th of March?
Yeah, this would be the 7th of March. The 7th would have been Saturday.
Right.
So March 7th, Saturday, I went to urgent care in the afternoon. They had signs around about like talking about traveling and stuff like that. So, I thought it was appropriate to let like them know. I was like, look, I was in Manhattan as well as North Bergen. And I took a quick trip down through like South Jersey, like around Camden. So I was a little concerned about those three places that I traveled. So the urgent care said to me that I should just go to the hospital if I was looking for more in-depth testing. So I said, cool, let me do that. So I drove over to, the first hospital, Monmouth Medical, and I went in. I gave them a rinse and repeat of the story and how I was feeling. And, I asked them at the desk, I said, do you guys test for COVID-19 here? And they said, yes, we do. So I was like, perfect, sign me up. Like, I got to figure out what's going on right now. So they took me in like a back. I was still in like a general area, just like between a curtain. And then they came in like maybe like a half hour after I was waiting and told me that they were going to move me into a zero pressure room, which it sounds scary, but it's literally when you go to the emergency room and you're like, oh man, I got a room to myself with a door. That's all it is. So when they say zero pressure, it just means they're just putting you in a private room that has a climate control in it. So they put me in that room. At that point, everybody had on like face masks and gloves. They wouldn't take me for a chest x-ray. They rolled in an x-ray machine to do it right there, as well as they like put an alarm on my door so I wouldn't like walk out and it would start beeping. So, I was comfortable with the situation at that point. I was like, all right, like, I guess this is what's starting to go on in like the country. There's a lot of precautions. So I just took it with what it was. So they tested me for flu A, flu B, strep, rhinovirus, adenovirus, a couple other things in between. They test me for like the other strains of corona that would be that they can test for. And I just waited there. So about like 6 hours after that, I got a visit from the nurse. She came in with all my forms, and on the forms it said that I had an upper respiratory infection.
Right.
And I was like, all right. I'm like, so what do I do about this? And they're like, well, you just go home, like you should be fine. And I was like, well, what about my fever? And what about like, I'm a
And
little
you,
bit.
you, by the way, like you didn't feel like you had any sort of like cough or congestion in your
Yeah,
chest at all, right?
no, I didn't have a sore throat at all. Like I had no sore throat. I had no dry cough or like congestion. Like I just had a really bad fever that cooked me. And I was starting to like lose I always pride myself as being a mentally sharp person. I'm always quick. I always know what to say.
Yeah.
And I lost that ability throughout this time. Like
Which
I
probably
lost.
has a lot to do with how high your fever was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just knew that there was something wrong at that point. So the hospital just like reassured me. They didn't really care about my traveling. They just said like, you got an upper respiratory, go home, sleep it off, stay hydrated, keep up on the Tylenol to keep your fever down. And then 24 hours after your fever goes, you can return back to work.
So just to reiterate, they had the test there, but they didn't give it to you, correct?
Well, no. So the doctor at that point, when he said that to me, I said to him, I was like, but like, look, I feel like I'm leaving with more questions and answers. Like if all my tests came back negative and I still feel that way, like what is going on? And the doctor, he actually, when he came in the room, he took off his gloves and his mask and he shook my hand. And I thought that was like super strange because I was like, wait, like, are you telling me I'm in the clear? And, with that, he said that he doesn't believe that Monmouth Medical doesn't believe that I should have been tested for COVID-19. And on top of that, if they even wanted to test me, they didn't have any tests at that hospital to provide. So they would have had to send me somewhere else where they thought was just not necessary. So that's why they just told me to go home and just wait till my fever passes and then, go back to work.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I like
And
went
and
home.
sorry to reiterate. At this
Sure.
at this point, we're still like it's still like that Saturday the 7th. You're 7 hours in the emergency room. They don't have any tests. So then you go back to work, and then what happens?
So like Tuesday, so I woke up Monday, I felt all right, but I still felt like, man, I probably need another day. And I just stayed home Monday, and then I woke up Tuesday because I had a full work day ahead of me. And at that point, I was just kind of feeling like, man, I was just in bed for like 4 or 5 days. Like I just got to get up and start moving. Like I'm probably just beat up, from just
And you
oversleeping and
don't really
stuff.
feel much better until this point, until that day where you get up and start walking around.
I didn't have a fever on Tuesday, and that's
Okay.
what
And that's
motivated
what the
me.
doctor said, right? The
Yeah,
doctor said when your fever broke, you could,
yeah,
just have a respiratory infection. When your fever breaks, you'll be fine to go back out into the workforce and
yeah.
go back to work.
My fever broke on Monday, so when it was continued like to be at like 98 on Tuesday, I was like, all right, like my fever's broke. I still feel like a little bit like garbage, but again, I was nursing a fever for like 5, 6 days at this point. So I just figured, it was like a bad hangover. I'm just
Right.
dehydrated. I got to get it in me and just keep going on my day. So I went out to work, and I worked through the afternoon. Which unfortunately, I'll share this, but I got a sales rep that I worked with sick. He's fighting the coronavirus with his family right now. Me being out, I got him sick, I got his wife sick, and I got his 2 children sick, and I feel really guilty about that.
But
I didn't know.
I mean, nobody knew, and it wasn't your fault. And the doctor shook your hand. I mean, if there's any sort of affirmation that you're fine, it's like the doctor pulling his gloves off of the mask gloves
Yeah.
situation he has and shaking your hand and saying go home. So
Yeah. So so like 3/4 of my day on Tuesday, I started feeling sick again. I just kind of felt like maybe I just pushed myself too far, and I went home. And I like took my temperature, and my fever went right back up to 103. I was just like, all right, this is a big problem now. So I slept that night. I was like, let me sleep tonight, pep talk myself to go back to the hospital tomorrow. Like I didn't want to go back to the emergency room twice in a week. That just wasn't on my agenda. So when I woke up on Wednesday, I was like, all right, I got to go back to the hospital. And I went back, but I figured instead of going to the first hospital that I went, because they told me they weren't equipped with it, I reached out to a couple doctor friends I have and whatnot, and they recommended that I went to Jersey Shore Medical, as they were starting to build like a command center for this, and they were getting ready for this to be a pandemic. So I said, all right, like that's where I need to go.
And so this is the what, like the 12th or 13th?
This is Wednesday, so this would be the 12th.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday the 12th. So I go to Jersey Shore. I explained to them, like in the lobby, like before I even walked in the building, like what was up with me. I was like, look, like here's where my travels are. The Monmouth Medical said if my symptoms worsen, you know, to go back to a doctor or hospital. Didn't want to go there. I'm coming here because you guys are equipped for COVID. I just think I'm in a bad position. I need help. So they like got me like this like whole segregated like walkthrough. Like nobody was near me.
But they were set up for that. No, but they were set up for that.
Yeah.
Whereas the other hospital.
Yeah, they were set up for it at this point.
I would imagine just 5 days from the first hospital to the next hospital, they had, you know, the quarantine and figuring out the contagion you know, they had a better system at that point, I would imagine.
Yeah. They were looking at it like they're talking about this in like dog years, you know, like, so every couple days we're years ahead or behind, however you want to look at it, of what's going on, you know? So I kind of took that into consideration when walking in, seeing how different it was. But I was completely like fine. I knew what was going on, you know? So I went in, they, you know, they triaged me, they took my temperature, they saw I still had a fever. My fever was like at like 102.6 when I went in. You know, and I took some aspirin, so like it was probably higher before that.
Right. Yeah.
But they decided at that point, with the story that I gave them, that I'm a candidate for the COVID-19 test. So you know, I was like, cool, like let's get this done. As far as the test goes, because it's like I've been like hearing different like videos of people talking about their experience with it. Just whole candidly, it's not a big deal. It's like getting a flu test. They just like stick like a long Q-tip up your like nose. They get you like right to here, you know, so you pull back your head, but they already got you. And that's all it is. They give you that, and then they give you a swab in the back of your throat, you know. So it is what it is. Like I think getting blood drawn was more painful or uncomfortable than that. So it wasn't a big deal at all. So they gave me the test, and at that point they were like, look, like they gave me an IV bag too. The hydration was great. Like I really needed that. I started feeling like more lively after I got a hydration bag. Right. So they told me that they were going to send me home. They were sending out the test to the state, which takes 48 hours. So
and this was on the 12th, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they said, you know, by Monday, you know, we should, or Friday, I'm sorry. They said by Friday, Friday the 13th, they'll have my test results. So I was like, cool. You know, I've already been home for like a week at this point. So what's another couple days? Like, this is fine. So when I came home.
Did they give directions, though, specifically to quarantine or anything?
No, they were just like, just go home and just, you know, follow what everybody else is starting to do. You know, just stay in, you know, don't go out. Like, just wait till we give you a call for your results. So when I got home, you know, I explained that to my wife, what was going on. And, you know, just to be responsible for it, I pulled her out of work. I was like, I don't think you should work until we figure out like what's going on. You know, I just don't want you to infect anybody or whatever it may be. So, you know, she took herself out of work from like that moment. And her and I were just kind of waiting home until Friday. I still had like a fever. I felt like I had a migraine that was like creeping, that just wouldn't bloom. It was just there. Mm-hmm. You know, I was super lethargic and tired. I didn't have my normal Nick Tango energy, you know, and I wasn't sharp. You know, I was like trying to write an email, and I was getting confused writing an email, and it was like just so weird. I couldn't get my thoughts out on paper. And that was really, I think, the most mind-boggling experience, literally and figuratively, of this whole thing, because I just couldn't keep my head straight for a few days. going through like into Friday, you know, I woke up, I was like, man, we're going to get some results today. So I called the hospital and I was like, hey guys, it's me. What's going on? Like, looking to hear some like news. And they were like, well, sorry, we don't have any news for you. Like, what do you mean you don't have any news for me?
Yeah.
Like,
The end, or they had an explanation? Sorry.
No, they didn't have an explanation. They just said, we just don't have your test processed yet. So, you know, we'll give you a call when we have some news. And, you know, that wasn't the answer I wanted to hear.
Right.
So I hopped in my car and I drove back to the hospital. And, you know, I walked in and, you know, I told them at the front desk, hey guys, like, you tested me for COVID-19. You told me I'd have my results today. My results are not here. And nobody's giving me an answer. So, like, if this is as urgent as it is for you, like, I'm in your emergency now. Like, you should probably know these results for people that are in here as well, because, like, I'm in your emergency room if I do have this.
Right.
And they, like, got, like, you know, out of nowhere, all these security guards show up and the doctor managers and whatnot, they come out and, like, okay, like, why is everybody here? Like, you could have all just came together yourselves and figured out where my test is. They asked me permission to look into my medical records, and they asked me to go home, and that they would call me back that evening with what they found. So I said, all right. So, you know, I was completely patronized and sent home. I got a call at like 7:45 from the hospital to inform me that they lost my test.
And so just to reiterate, this was the first edition of tests that had to get sent into the CDC, right? It was only the private labs were able to do tests. So they probably had to send that test to the CDC.
That's what I'm guessing.
And so, I mean, you don't know though if it was the CDC or the hospital that did not provide the results.
No, I think that it didn't even I don't even think my test got anywhere. You know, I don't know. You know, I saw them bag it. I saw them walk it out of the room.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what happened from there. But, you know, at that point I was pretty frustrated because, you know, they asked me to come back to the hospital after they like patronized me and sent me home from the hospital. And, you know, so they need to give me another test. So, you know,
the day that you talked to them on the phone was, the Saturday after?
No, that was Friday the 13th.
Okay, so Friday the 13th is when they told you they couldn't find it.
Yeah. So I showed back at the hospital at like 8:30 p.m. And, you know, they just like, they wanted to like quarantine me and isolate me in the hospital. And I told them no. I was like, I'm not getting quarantined for another 7 or 8 hours and then forgotten about back there. Like, you told me to come down for a test. Like, I'm here for a test. Let's just get that going. I was like, you guys shouldn't have lost my first one. And I do have time, but I don't have time to sit in an emergency room. So they rushed me, you know, they got me in, they gave me another COVID test, same thing, rinse and repeat, nose swab and the mouth swab. And they told me again that they were going to send it out to the state and I'll have my results noon on Monday. I said, perfect. So I went home. Saturday, I still felt, you know, run down. My fever was going away. Sunday, when I woke up, I felt pretty much back to normal. I felt good. And then, you know, Monday when I woke up, I was back to 100% again. I felt great. Like I felt like back to the old me. Like I wasn't tired. I wasn't lethargic. I didn't have a headache. I didn't have a fever. Like everything that was holding me down was completely gone. So I was like symptom free come Monday. So yeah,
that was the 15th.
The 15th.
So you were like fever and out and feeling like completely under the weather for a full 8 days.
Yeah, well, from March 5th. Yeah. March 5th to then.
So yeah, so more than that. So 9 or 10 days.
Yeah. So Monday comes, I call up the hospital and I'm like, hey guys, it's me again, your bad ex-girlfriend. And they were just like, we don't have any results for you. And it's like, this isn't a joke. Like, this isn't a joke, you know? And I told them, I was like, all right, well, what do you want me to do? And they didn't have an answer for me. So, at that point, I said, all right, well, here's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm friends with our senators, I'm friends with some of our congressmen, like I know people in political places in the state. I'm like, should I just reach out to them and tell them what I'm going through? And I was like, it's kind of stupid to have to throw that card on the table,
Right.
but like, if you're going to keep telling me a time frame now, you have to also appreciate during this time, I'm telling you guys, hey guys, like I'll give you an answer tomorrow. I got test results tomorrow. I'm telling the people that I did let know I was around. Hey, I'll give you that doctor's note tomorrow. I'll give you my results tomorrow. So with how serious the whole country is making it sound, and then my answers are sounding like catty excuses.
Well, and I think at this point in time, it was between the point where it was just like a thing that existed in a different country that we were kind of gossiping about, to what it is now, where it's like very, well known that a majority of the population is going to get it at some point. So like in that time frame, you had a target on your back because people, I'll let you, if you want to go into this, but yeah, people were probably like, I heard Nick Tango might have this. He's been sick, and like, doing the thing that everybody does where they gossip and they're like, I saw him last week. And
well, that's what that turned into.
Exactly.
It was like, it was starting to get like strange because now like people are trying to like track timelines. They were around me, one or two people in the professional industry decided to reach out to other professionals in the industry and put it on their radar, so like I was getting like calls from people and text messages from people from like way across the country that I like don't even see on a normal basis. And I'm just like, why are these people finding out about this? How are these people finding out about this? And it just got like,
because everybody loves the martyr.
Yeah, and I'm homesick,
and it's not fair.
And I'm like, it got to the point where I'm trying to explain to people. I'm like, look, like I don't even know what's going on. Like I'm home, I'm sick, I'm trying to feel better.
Right. And by the way, you're doing everything you can to figure out what is wrong with you. It's just, we don't have the systems in place to help you, obviously. Yeah. Which is now very, very clear. But when this was happening to you, I don't think anybody knew the multitude of problems that we had in our medical system because of non-funding and not being prepared. So, now we all know that. Now this is common knowledge. Now everybody knows multiple people that have it or like think they have it and can't get tested for it. And, California and New York, aside from what my sister was telling me in Colorado, like New York and California are just now not going to test because they, there's no point. There's so many people are going to get it. There's no point in like recording how many people are.
Yeah. Well, that even falls on to like, my wife, like, cause like we live together, she sees me all the time. So like I asked about my wife. I'm like, well, should my wife come and get tested? Like, and, well, this is before I got my results, I just want to know, like, while I'm being cautious. And they were like, no, like if your wife is living with you, we're just going to assume that she's going to get it. So there's no point in testing her. So I was like, all right. My wife was like sick for like 3 or 4 days. She got like a killer fever. She had like 102 fever for like 3 days. And then like she just woke up and bounced out of it. There was like no other issue.
She also didn't have any sort of congestion or cough?
No. She just had like, we thought she had like a mean hangover. And then like 2 days later, I was like, I don't think you have a mean hangover. Like, you shouldn't have a fever 2 days into a hangover. So like, she just kind of milked on like 102, 103 fever for 3 days. And then, come like, I think it was Tuesday, last Tuesday, she was like completely fine, so she's just, in the same boat I'm in at this point. So, so now I'm at this point of the story, I'm waiting off from the hospital. They gave me a call Monday. They told me that like, it's going to look like 5 to 7 days because they sent my test to LabCorp and not the state. Like they told me they were going to do. So I was like, okay, so what does that mean? And they're like, well, you need to wait 5 to 7 days from Sunday when they received your test. I was there on Friday. So it took them like 2 days to send over my test. The test labs are open 24 hours. They're not closing. So I thought it was weird that they even held on to my test for 2 days after they dropped the ball the first time.
Right.
So you also got to remember through this whole time, like I'm trying to do this whole social distancing. So I see everybody freaking out over buying groceries and, stocking up on their toilet paper and cat food and sanitizer. And, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm trying to do the right thing. Like, I don't want to leave my house, but I need answers soon because I'm going to be the guy in the back of the bread line with no meat to put on it, and that was scary to me. So right. I expressed that with the hospital and they were just like, yeah, sorry. Luckily my wife and I have some like amazing friends that like did some like online shopping for us and like, sent us dinner for a couple days, stocked our fridge for a few days, and like, I take that really far, that people did that for us. It really put that ease at least leaving my house on the back burner until I could figure more out. Well, Friday the 20th, I got a phone call at like 6 p.m. From the hospital. And, they told me that they finally had my test results in, and before they're giving me my test results, they're asking me how I'm feeling and this and that. And I'm like, I'm fine.
You're golden at this point, and
yeah,
probably,
I'm like,
even if you had it, not contagious, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm pissed right now. I just want to know what's going on. And then they told me that I tested positive for COVID-19. And at that point, it was just like, so when was anybody going to take me serious over the past couple of weeks when I was saying that this was a problem? And, I told you, like, I know my body. There's something wrong with my body. I told you I needed these tests. Like, why? Do you know how many people, like, I was angry, I was like, thinking of the first hospital I went to, that doctor shook my hand, how many patients did he talk to afterwards? How many surfaces did he touch? They sent me home. I worked with somebody that I got sick. I got his whole family sick. It could have been prevented. Like I went to another hospital because I thought I was going to get better results, from it. They lost my test. Like, it's just like I just kept getting beaten down. And at the end of it, they tell me that I have it. And it was just like, this all could have been prevented a couple weeks previous.
Right. And and now you're fine and you're home. And I mean, and I think the majority of these cases are going to be like that. People are going to recover in their own houses. And that's just it's a very contagious situation. I'm not in medicine, so I'm not going to like talk about the details of it or anything, but as many people are thinking it's something that is a respiratory disease or respiratory virus that infects your lungs and whatnot, and you have a cough and you might be congested. That's not necessarily the case, as in your case and your wife's case. You both didn't have a cough, so it takes on a lot of different forms. It's mild in some and not so much in others, but and like I didn't want to like have you talk to me about for the purpose of trying to like say that the medical field does not know what they're doing. That is absolutely not the point. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough equipment. I also, and whatever, we're not supposed to talk about politics in this business, but I mean, I feel like there was a lot done to cover up what was happening in other cities and in the media, and to prevent us from being prepared fully. And I mean, call me a conspiracy theorist, but like the fact that the CDC potentially lost your test seems like bullshit to me. So I feel like I said, my sister is on the front lines every day of this problem, and she is ill prepared and sends bills every day to me to like have me sign them to try and help in any capacity that she can. But at the end of the day, it's like they're the ones that are fighting this battle for us and like going home to their kids every day after working in this environment and like wearing masks and goggles and whatnot to try and not get contaminated. And I saw Chase, you said something. I just said about not testing in California. I don't know if that's 100% true. I didn't mean to misquote. I've been watching Governor Cuomo every morning because he is so more informative than our president. So I know that he had said something about potentially not having enough tests for California and New York. And so, you know, at some point they're going to stop using them. I could be misquoting there, so don't take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy scenario, and yeah, I'm glad you're here to tell the tale, and you know, you're not what you fall into that. You don't fall into that you know, area of age and immune deficiency that might be affected. And we're just, you know, I appreciate you being brave enough to tell the story that you have, because I feel like a lot of people don't know someone personally that has experienced it. And from what I understand, you did get one of the first tests in New Jersey, even though it did take forever to get the results. So, you know, you were kind of ahead of the curve, and I'm sorry you had to like experience that by yourself before there was an understanding of what was going on. I mean, not to go back to our shitty government or anything, but like, you know, when everything that the CDC is saying is being vetted by our government, it's hard to know if we're learning the whole story and if we're being completely transparent. The day that our president said this was a hoax, I was like, fuck, we are so fucked. Like, that just means it's over. But yeah, I mean, it's such a weird, I mean, it's a weird time, and you didn't have to be that brave to like tell your story. And I think it really helps people to understand it more clearly and understand how close to home it is, because I have quite a few friends that think they have it, and they just, you know, it doesn't make sense if you don't have a terrible case and you don't need to be hospitalized. It doesn't make sense to go to the hospital now that we know what it is, and because you might infect, you know, doctors or people in the waiting room or whatever. But you kind of live that by yourself before anybody knew how to handle it. So
yeah, my thing like that I'm really taking away from this though is like, you know, there's a stigma of it that I've come across, at least like the past couple days, where people think that I should be completely out of society, like until this whole thing blows over. That I can give it to others. So. Yeah, we all, but that's the whole thing. We all are, you know, and it's not. It's not about like what I caught, you know, where I am with it right now. It's the fact that like once I got told, you know, from the hospital on that Wednesday that I just need to shut down my life. Like I just need to go indoors. I need to stop being out there. I just need to get over and move on, while waiting for my results. Once I was told I had to self-quarantine, I took that real serious, you know, and that's what my wife and I did. A lot of people in our age group and our industry, you know, they're out of work right now. You know, we're getting very cabin feverish, you know, and going out and, you know, going to parks or beaches and, you know, trying to like live life like it's normal. It's not normal, you know, and like what I did was the proper thing of removing myself from society for a couple weeks. I got it out of my system, and now I'm waiting for everybody to kind of catch up, you know, whether it's from a medical way, from a natural way, but you know, that's why we're doing what we're doing right now. And as long as people are out there doing whatever they want is really the longer I have to stay inside now.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I can't go on with life until everyone else can go on with life. I've been there, done it. And now I'm just waiting for everybody else to take it as serious as I am, you know? And I just, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go a little like vocal about this, because I feel like in our industry, we don't have a peer to level with that's been through it. And I feel that at least like anyone that knows me, just, they know I'm an honest person. I don't I don't make up things. I just, I'm transparent. I'm an open book. This is what I'm dealing with. I hope people can take that at that value and just say, wow, like, maybe we should take this serious and just
right. And just stay
go along with what's going on.
Yeah. Just stay the fuck home, basically.
Yeah. Just stay home. Like, you got to go to the grocery store to get some essentials. And yeah, like those trips are necessary to an extent,
right.
but there's no need to go to the grocery store and then take a walk in the park and then take the dog for a walk down on the beach and then, grab a snack on your way home. Like there's no reason for all of that. That's not why the country shut down, or at least our state in Jersey is in the position that it's in right now. This isn't a free for all vacation for everybody, like you're in California, you guys are starting your shutdowns way before us, so what's going to happen?
We also, the mayor of Los Angeles, Garcetti, shut down beaches and parks yesterday because people still were trying to get outside. They were doing a mediocre job of, staying inside and whatnot, but it's Los Angeles. Like people wanted to get some fresh air and go to the beach, and then there's a bunch of people at the beach. Even if they're not like parking out all day, they're still in relatively close groups near the beach trying to dip their feet in. So I mean, the reins are pretty tight here. Like we're on a 30-day shelter in place that ends on April 19th. So
but what happens with that though when like you guys get to like April 19th and then over here on the East Coast, everybody's still out and about and doing their thing. Well, nobody from California is going to be able to go to New York until it's over here, and vice versa. So
there's no way to contain that if they start flights going back and forth. Like
it's pointless.
California will just fly to New York and go to the Jersey Shore. So it's about to be the springtime. So
so we have an opportunity to like everybody's scared that like the government's gonna shut you down and they're going to be driving with tanks down the street from you going in and out of your house, like whatever it is, take control of it now. We still have the ability to volunteer ourselves, to put ourselves in the position of just staying home and getting it over with. Why do you want to get it to the point where we are going to be told not to? Just do it now. And you're not going to have that scary scenario going on outside.
America, just go to your room and think about what you've done and have your tea punch. And we can all come outside when we've, done our time in our room.
And I'll shake a swizzle stick at it.
I do have one more serious question, and that is, did you have any opportunity to ask if you were able to catch it again? Did they? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have not gotten an answer on that at all, but I wondered if you were able to ask the question.
They were very gray on that area with me. They said they don't know. They know that at this point I'm not contagious anymore. I've been past that we're going on 10 days now. So I'm not contagious, but if the strain mutates in any way, I could catch it again. I could maybe even catch the same strain of it. There's no certainties or guarantees, So
I don't know enough about it, I imagine, to be able to give you a definitive answer.
Yeah, it's still in dog years, I mean, maybe something could change tomorrow, but as far as today goes, it's I beat it, so the position I'm in is a great position. But everybody else, everybody else just needs to be serious about it. So, people like me that did get it don't have an opportunity to get it again because everybody else is doing their due diligence. That's what it comes down to. I won't get it again if people out there put effort into helping me not get it again. Just like anybody else that's dealing with this. Right,
100%. Well, I would like to end this on a more positive note.
Sure.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
I thought we should talk about a few less, while that was very informative, I thought we should end on a funny comedic note. Oh boy, I thought.
Are you positive?
From my back bar. If anybody's seen my back bar, Nick has a pretty stellar situation as well.
Tango for governor.
100% of New Jersey. I'm really like really, Cuomo is just kind of really doing everything for me right now. He is the president that we need in this moment, I feel like.
Yeah.
Also, I had this revelation yesterday that he sounds just like Christopher Walken. Is this incorrect?
I could take that.
You should though watch when he is on his brother's show on CNN and they go back and forth. It's pretty hilarious.
Awesome.
I was gonna ask. No, you can stay, babe. I was gonna ask how Libby is doing and if she has begun to. What are you making? Is that milk? Oh,
Sherman's and coconut milk.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
88 special. Has Libby started taking to the dog and styling the dog since she's out of work?
So it's actually like really like I think my dog may have gotten it. I don't know. Like my dog's been sick for.
Did you not hear the joke? Did you not hear the joke that Ben made the other day?
Oh geez, he makes a lot of jokes.
The World Health Organization has said that dogs cannot. They can't transfer the coronavirus, remember? So they let all the dogs out of quarantine.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah,
you gotta.
That was good.
You get it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Who?
Woof.
Ben has been waiting. Our boss has been waiting 20 years to tell that joke. Yeah, no, but I mean, you have a beautiful little pup and a wife who's a hairdresser, so I wondered if it had gotten that far yet. You need another probably. I was gonna say, did you see our friend Shrimp Toast, our ex-friend? Just kidding, Shrimp Toast, that was a joke. Former coworker on that show Tiger King as the third husband of the Tiger King.
Looks just like him.
No? He earned that burn. Yeah. What have you been doing? Have you gone to the grocery store yet?
Yeah, I did a grocery run over the weekend.
Was it as much of a war zone as it is here?
Yeah, because I just went to like Spanish bodegas. You know, you just got to go like everybody's talking about going to like Whole Foods, what's it called? Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, ShopRites, and Food Towns and all that stuff. I'm like going to like the World Market on the corner in like, downtown Long Branch, and like you said, you ran out of limes. I just bought a bag of 25. Like no issues there. Like the guy had like a toilet paper mountain, like he had like a castle like built out of toilet paper, and I'm like, cool, I'll take 15 rolls. You still have 4,000. So like I really didn't find a problem like going to get like stuff from bodegas. Like I did go to like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's once, and I walked in there and it looked like the apocalypse like 3 times over, and I was like, no, let's just go to the Spanish markets. We can get all the eggs we need.
We tried our bodega. They were out of dish soap, limes, and eggs, and paper towels. I swear to God, if you don't stop taking the 1931s, you better not open those. These shelves are allocated as in don't fucking touch, ask permission, and go crazy.
That's funny.
You have to label them as such when you have 20 people over for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
But yeah. I guess my last question would be maybe not my last question, second to last question. As a gentleman from Jersey who, your workouts are very important to you in that state. I can say that because I lived there for 6 years and dated so many boys who had an alliteration for their first 2 names, 3 names, or all of their names. What is your workout routine during this time?
I mean, I didn't work out before, so I definitely didn't pick up better. Yeah, I didn't pick up better habits now.
What else do you do?
So I mean,
you seem like you work out.
Nah, not this time.
Not the typical Jersey boy that I'm used to. You also probably don't take steroids, so there you go.
I definitely don't take steroids. But No, I mean, like, my wife and I, we've tried to stay, like, active. She actually, like, she's the one that's doing more of it than me. We have like a treadmill in our garage and like actually on the other side of the bar. So we split from time to time. So she runs on her treadmill. She has like her like little weights and all that. She does her like arm workouts and her push-ups and all. And I'm just sitting on the couch, making drinks and writing emails and, getting my fingers like typing work out, I guess. But it's,
Still trying to work.
yeah, I mean, I just want to stay in contact with everybody, like it's the point of it. We're gonna all go back to work one day, and I just don't want to be out of the atmosphere of what's going on. Just to at least people know, like, I think I pride myself through this whole experience. Like I've worked through the whole time. Like I tried not to take off. Like I may have not been out there physically on the market, but at least I've been on like phone calls and emails and brainstorming. Maybe the fever helped some brainstorming. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. We'll see when everything opens, but. I've just at least I think it's good it's good to at least be social in those kind of steps because I can at least talk to people that I don't see. I'm normally within 5 states on a week, so for me to be like stuck in house instead of being like Pennsylvania one day, Baltimore the next, downtown DC the next, and then shoot up through Delaware back to Jersey, it's like
Right.
my whole work schedule and ethic of how I move got totally like cut off. So,
For sure.
it's just like weird, just being back to one state.
For sure. Same. Tell me about it. Tell me about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I have a
So,
bunch of credits in Delta flights right now. It's crazy.
yeah, I mean,
Well, I think this little app is going to kick us off in about uh, 2 minutes. So
sure.
I just want to raise a glass to you and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing this. And yeah, we'll do this again next week with another guest to be determined. And you can find Nick at Rum for the Hills, Rum with an H, obviously. Yeah, thank you so much, Nick.
No worries, Kiwa.
And I will probably talk to you on GoToMeeting, not Zoom, tomorrow with the whole team.
Absolutely. Sounds good. I look forward to it. Thank you everybody for hearing my story and, at least hear me out. I'm honest and transparent through this whole thing. So
And
I
yeah,
hope you
follow
take it
him and
serious.
reach out to him if you have any questions. He's very, the most honest person I know and willing to tell you his whole tale and answer any questions you have.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.